welcome to episode 7 of Fit Enough. My name's Matt.
And my name is Sai, and in this podcast we make strength training simple.
Let's see how quick we can be.
20 minutes is our goal.
I say 5 minutes, what we've been up to, 15 minutes each of these points, which is 5 mistakes that I/we wish I/we knew when I/we started strength training. I started that and instantly regretted it.
Too many eyes.
Thought it would be funny and it wasn't.
It was funny.
Thank you. 5 mistakes that I wish I knew when I started strength training. We're going to get into them in a second. But first of all, Sai's going to give you a very nice update on what we've been up to the last week.
We've been up to so much. Yeah, I think our life has been revolved around squeezing in as much strong band work as we can in our spare time.
You said it was very strong band forward at some point, and that made me laugh.
It is very strong band forward. Yeah. Strong band forward. Everything else
in the back
for now. But yeah, we've done so much.
There we go.
It's gone so quickly. I just can't
Believe
remember. But working on getting the website ready to launch so we can start collecting emails. You've been reaching out to so many companies, We've had a couple more chats with physios, gym owners, which have been incredibly helpful. We're trying to fit in as much of that as possible before we launch and after as well. Had an exciting package that came. We got our branded t-shirts, strong band t-shirts.
Oh yeah, we were going to wear them.
Oh no, next time.
It's too cold as well in our flat. We can't be in a tee.
It's colder inside than it is outside.
It's actually really nice outside.
Yeah, houses should not do this. But yeah, we've been busy squeezing in some fun as well.
Yeah.
We went to a friend's bottomless brunch yesterday. That was nice.
It had a bottom.
It had a bottom. I had 3 drinks. Matt had 0. Cracked on with work after.
Yeah, just a classic Saturday of temporarily leaving work to one side, but then getting straight back to it.
And we've been going to the Sydney Film Festival.
Yeah. 2 recommendations for you lot. Blue Moon and Bring Them Down. Both very good films, both very different films.
Very different.
But great acting, great script. We really enjoyed them both. And we got 3 to go in this film festival.
Yeah, 1 today.
1 today, and then we got 2 next weekend. So I hope they'll all be just as good as these 2. All right, enough about us. Well, this is still kind of about us.
5 mistakes we wish.
Don't do it. Right, so the 5 mistakes, let's round them off at the top. Sticking to a program, or I guess the mistake is that one of us, not naming names, didn't stick to a program. Not focusing on form over increasing the weight and resistance.
No names.
No names, my back is killing me. Not celebrating the small wins and focusing on the negatives. Not training full body evenly. That's quite a good one. Like I'm just seeing them for the first time. Oh,
we did write these.
That's interesting. I'd be interested to hear about that. And then not fueling your workouts in general, but specifically before and after. So, sticking to a program, Sai, were you guilty of this, not sticking to one?
Yes, definitely.
Quickly.
Yeah, we speak about this a lot. I can't remember if we've spoken about this in a podcast episode.
I'm sure we have, yeah.
But having a program is so much better for actually making progress because you stick to the same exercises, repeat them over and over again, and that's how you cause adaptations because you can keep everything the same, but then you start making it harder as you get stronger, and you can directly see what the cause of it is. You can see you're actually getting stronger because everything stays the same, and you can see you're increasing the reps, you can see you're increasing the weight, the resistance band, whatever it might be. So there's that side of things where you know it's the most efficient way to get stronger compared to doing lots of random exercises and hoping for the best, and you're just changing up so much that your body's just constantly, you're not sort of stimulating the muscle group or the muscle enough. That's one part of it. The other part, which I think is maybe even more interesting to me, is mental.
Yeah.
The like mental load you carry with thinking about what am I going to do today? What am I going to do with my workout? Which I know at the moment, like I'm in between programs and I'm having to think about it.
You should see it, guys.
And that gives you another reason to like back out of doing it in the first place. So you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to have to like find something. I'm going to have to make it up. Oh, and then it's just an extra layer.
Mental. Also with that, the mental side of things, we know that we're in this for the long haul. Like strength training is a lifelong activity. So if you don't have metrics or ways of measuring like the benefits it's bringing to your life, I guess this kind of ties in with point 3 about the small wins, but you're so much less likely to stick to strength training and continue this really healthy habit because you're like, it could be doing something, but I'm not exactly sure. Whereas if you're sticking to a program, you can see that incremental progress. You're demonstrating to yourself like the very clear way about how you're taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional strength. So it has such benefits to stick to a program. No more. Focus on form over weight or resistance. Tell me.
So I think this is very, very common for people. I think particularly people who are have high expectations for themselves. So you think, okay, I'm going to go into starting strength training and I should be progressing this way. I should be lifting this much.
Yeah.
And then it all becomes a bit of a sort of ego tickle. Each session is like, can I lift more than I did yesterday? Can I lift as much as this bloke over here who probably has been training for 10 years and you've just started last week? So it is not helpful at all to be comparing yourself to other people and thinking about, I should be doing this. Focusing on the basics is going to give you that really strong foundation to then be able to progress more quickly later down the line because you've got everything, you've got all the basics solid. You don't have weak links that might cause injury later down the line, and you're going at your pace, and that's the most sustainable one. Doesn't mean low expectations, doesn't mean you're going to be stagnant. It just means you are understanding where your body's at, when it's ready to progress, and to work with it.
Yeah, if I could change one thing about my training journey, I guess it would be exactly this, because I was guilty of the ego tickle. I was so ticklish, and I just focused on weight. And because I'd put myself in that environment of kind of, I guess like the bodybuilding space, I was constantly chasing weight, and all that's amounted to is what is probably now like a lifelong injury that I have to work around and always factor into my training, and constantly kind of think about. Whereas if I had just gone at my own pace, left the ego at the door, and left like the really heavy lifting to everybody else because there's no real benefit to that, then I'd be in a much better position. So yeah, if I could give one piece of advice, focus on the form, get really, really confident with your movement patterns, and then the weight can come at a later point.
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of this as well. I think I like being good at things. So then you like associate being good at something with particular milestones and particular weight. So I remember like trying to get my back squat, my barbell back squat heavier and heavier, and I'm like, yeah, I did 70 kilos. But my range of motion got cut in half, so I'm like, yeah. But
like if someone had recorded it, you'd be like, delete that. Nobody can see. Yeah.
But in my head, it's like, I got 70, but like I like barely, went anywhere near to my range.
I just stood up with 70 kilos on my back. All right, cool. So number 3, celebrate the small wins and not focus on the negatives. Or I guess the inverse for the mistake. So your mistake that you're making is you're not celebrating the small wins, guys.
It just makes such a big difference to how you feel about yourself.
To life.
Absolutely, yeah. Celebrate the small win, guys. I remember so clearly after my maybe my first and my second ACL injuries, and I think this also like ties in with everything else, particularly like not sticking to a program. Like when you go into the gym and you don't really know what you're doing, you're like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and then you come out, you just think, what
I think I did something.
I'm not sure about that. I can't tell, am I like making progress? Like, and then I ended up focusing on the negatives of like, oh, my left leg's so much weaker. Well, obviously it's going to be so much weaker. Like, you just, you had surgery on that 3 months ago, however long it was. But then it might like...
It's like hating your own left leg.
It's just like, what are you doing? And like, I came away being like, oh, I'm so weak. Whereas I'm going to the gym, I'm putting the work in, like, even though I wasn't following a program and I should have been following a program, what I was doing was still helpful. That if I just ended up being like, I've like worked this, I've done that, this is all positive towards my overall health and well-being, good on me.
Yeah.
Great time. Whereas I was leaving the gym just feeling really like frustrated and deflated.
Yeah. I saw this post from someone the other day, I can't remember. And it was one of those like controversial opinions that the fitness industry doesn't want me to have, or some crazy title like that. And she was saying her controversial opinion was that you should train through injury. And there's obviously nuance to that in that you're actually training around the injury and for that specific muscle or joint or connective tissue that you have injured, you're doing the rehab that's necessary at that stage rather than just sitting on your ass and being like, well, I'm injured. And I think that kind of speaks to this, is that you can still, in a position that could be potentially quite negative and quite, just quite a tough situation to be in while having an injury, you can still find so many positives within that. Like Sai, your left leg's injured, but you can still train it through the rehab that you need to. You can still train your right leg. You can still train your upper body. Like, really do yourself a kindness and go and seek out those small wins, because they're not going to come and slap you in the face and be like, look, I'm here.
Celebrate.
Yeah, you have to go out and seek them. And particularly when it comes to your health and fitness, I think it's so important to make sure you're really highlighting these.
And that's why a program is so important, because you can see, you have little milestones. With my ACL recovery, I had like the physio program at the start through the NHS. It was like brilliant. Like, we were doing these like weekly classes, and we had these milestones like get your single leg bridge, be able to do 10, and then you're going to move on to add weight, and then we're doing we start running once we're able to like do all these other like tiny milestones, which if you sort of just approach it as like, my goal is to return to sport and I've not returned to sport, like, you just lose out on seeing your progress and celebrating the progress, and it just becomes a frustrating battle rather than look at how much I am improving and my body's working hard to get back to where it was and stronger.
And can I just say, that is why, like, post-surgery, they tell you to get up and just walk down the hall. Like, walk down the hall once, then come sit down. Next day, walk down the hall 5 times, come back and sit down. Because without that, you're focusing on the big, like, how in the world am I going to get back to full fitness? Whereas in that moment, or at least for that day maybe, all you need to focus on is walking down the hall. And then you've got a physical win, but you've also got a mental win, and you've created that momentum that you need to start working back towards your health. Training full body evenly, function over aesthetics. FOA.
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 You take it away.
So this this is the classic, like, oh, do you not train legs when you go to the gym, at its extreme level. But when we're talking about function over aesthetics, we want strength training to benefit and add to your life rather than taking away from it. And I think going down the path of focusing on aesthetics kind of like pushes this to the side, because aesthetics is rarely that functional. And I think if you just really focus on how your body works, the movement patterns, any kind of like areas of injury or even just tightness, you will be supplementing your life with like the body working as a whole system, rather than, I don't know, just focusing on getting like big arms. And then it's kind of like, maybe that adds to your life, but I would say the function still trumps that aesthetic look.
Yeah, definitely. Like when you really dig in to what is it that you want in life, what do you value in life, it's like family, friends, health. Like
Yeah.
you wish good health on the people you love, and good health means being able to move, being able to like support your daily life, particularly as we get older. And the less we train something, the less resilient, the less strong it's going to be, and the more it is going to decline as we age. So I think, like Matt said, like focusing on function is just going to help you so much more. And there's so much like pressure on people to look a certain way, pressure on like guys, yeah, skipping leg day, but women skipping upper body day. I have a friend, naming no names, she doesn't want to train her quads whatsoever because she's scared they're going to get too big. And I completely had that fear. Like my dad would tell me when I was a teenager, it's like, don't cycle, your legs are getting way too big. I'm just like, shut up, Dad. Like, not taking this shit. But yeah, when we sort of focus on aesthetics, we then limit ourselves, and it can actually be quite detrimental to our health in the long term. Like we want all of our joints, all of our major muscle groups to be strong and resilient now, and the more we train them now, the more resilient they're going to be later.
And I think with aesthetic, you start to like separate the, well, obviously you separate the body into different muscle groups or body parts, and you say like, you know, it can be quite useful to just focus on your lower body on one day, upper body on another, for example. But when you start to pick things apart, muscles will stop working as a system, and we want to train full body in order to improve your whole physical system as much as possible. So I think when we start kind of like pushing certain muscle groups out of our priority zone, and we're saying, you know, like, I really want to get a toned core, so I'm just going to train my core. It's like, that's great. Training your core is great, but we need to make sure that everything else is tying into that, so that you're the healthiest version of yourself in a physical sense, not just like, you know, a scaffolding with a really strong core. Yeah. So function over aesthetics, 100%, and that involves training the full body, whether it's a split, whether it's, you know, all in one session. We need to focus on the body as a whole. Last but not least, guys, fueling workouts before and after.
I think we're going to do it in 20 minutes.
I'm not so sure.
I don't even know what time we started. Fueling the workouts before and after.
Just to reiterate what point number 5 is, I was very guilty of the obsessive restriction and thinking that the more dieting I did, the more results I would see. In reality, all that happens is you burn yourself out. You're not able to perform at your like top level or close to top level in subsequent sessions if you're not fueling yourself properly. And that becomes very frustrating. You don't see as much progress as you would want. And then you start to think, you know, what's this all for? and it becomes that kind of like perpetual never-ending cycle of not fueling yourself to perform, then not performing, and then thinking what I need here is less fuel.
Yeah. And I think there's like maybe two main categories of people who fall into this. Like one is that sort of diet culture, restrictive eating, to think I'm gonna look so lean, like these results are gonna be unbelievable. And then the other side is just not being organized. And yeah, both lead to your workouts just not being as effective, where you could just have a little snack. Make sure you had your meal like a couple of hours before, so that you're fueled to just work at your near optimal level. Like people use this analogy all the time, but it's like if you want to, drive a car, you need fuel. Like we need food to perform.
Yeah, and we can get into the nitty gritty and like the 1% differences in your nutrition, but ultimately this is just about like eating food when you need to eat food. I would say, for example, like if you're eating a couple of hours before, you'd want a meal that's high in carbohydrates, relatively low in fat, and then maybe like a medium amount of protein. So for me, that would look, for example, like 60 grams of carbs, which is like a portion of pasta, a little bit of fat, maybe whatever comes with the protein source, and then maybe like 20 grams of protein, for example. So small chicken breast or like portion of tuna or something. But aside from the macros, all that matters is that you're just giving your body the energy it needs to go and do what you want it to do. Whereas if we're avoiding that in the attempts to try and lose weight, or we just haven't planned properly, and therefore you're in a position where you're kind of like scrambling to eat something, or you're like, do you know what, let me just get the workout over and done with. You're just doing a disservice to yourself, where you could be in a position of like really showing yourself what you're capable of. That comes from fueling the body. Afterwards, what would you usually have post-workout in an ideal world?
Yeah, so in an ideal world, I'd like time it. So I generally don't snack as
Oh, don't lie to the people now.
Well, in an ideal world, I would have it before my dinner. So I'd like go and do a workout.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd have a snack beforehand, like an hour or an hour and a half before. I'd have, I don't know what I'd have. Half a can of beans. Like you don't need to like overthink it too much. Something that has like enough carbohydrates in it, that is gonna give you a bit of energy, a little bit of a boost. And then ideally I'd come back, shower, and have dinner, but make sure I've got something lined up.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense of timing it so that there's a meal in there somewhere.
I was going to say also, even if your goal is weight loss, you still want to be fueling. I think there's a sort of clear mathematical equation of like the fewer calories I have, the more I'm going to lose weight. And yes, however, I think we want people to stop thinking about exercise as being the thing that's going to make you lose weight.
Yeah.
Like exercise gives you so many things, which does help you with your weight loss journey. But for me, and I think I know what you think, but I want to hear what you think. Like the most effective thing that exercise does for weight loss is that self-confidence and that sort of clarity of thought. And so when I'm exercising, it's not necessarily I've lost 200, I've used 200 calories from my workout. So that's going into my deficit, but I feel so much better about myself after I've worked out. I feel like more focused. I make better decisions. So I'm like less snacky after, like once I've done my workout, I'm less likely to feel like this mental boredom that just wants to eat everything in the house. And I think for me, that sort of self-confidence, self-esteem, positivity, just feeling good that comes from being in a good workout routine is what then leads to that weight loss or whatever other goals you might have.
It's so much a mental thing, yeah, particularly if you are concerned with either losing or putting on weight. I think I'm realizing the more we do these podcasts, how much we actually both do strength training for the mental benefits. Like if somebody asked me, it would be so I could, get stronger and like be able to do certain cool exercises. I think the more we go through this, the more I'm like, it's such a therapeutic experience for me. But in terms of losing weight, you're right. If there was a hierarchy or a list of priorities to look at when you're trying to lose weight, your actual workout sessions are so far down that list, they may as well not be on it. If you're trying to lose weight, the thing you need to do is be in a slight calorie deficit, and you can create that by, yes, maybe dialing in your nutrition a little bit, but you can also do that through increasing your steps, generally just moving around more each day, improving your rate of metabolism by kind of getting more sleep, relaxing, kind of de-stressing. Like all of these things take priority over strength training. Like Si said, you burn a very insignificant amount of calories during your weight training. So that's not where you're going to succeed in getting your goal. Where you succeed is through consistency and adherence to a program. And that comes from like the mental benefits you get from strength training for working towards a performance-based goal or just feeling good about yourself. So I think it has its place, but in terms of a goal you want to be working towards, it's much more about fueling your body effectively so that you're not just draining it of energy, and things that supplement that, like sleep, movement, de-stressing where you can.
And I think that these all sort of tie in really well to each other. They're all interlinked of how you approach your workout and what you think you're doing it for, I think is really important as well. So when I go into my workout and think I'm doing it for my long-term health, but also I'm doing it to protect my knees. I'm doing it mainly to just feel better in that day, so I have more energy, I'm a nicer person.
Yeah.
And then that helps me think, okay, what does a good workout look like? I'm no longer focused on, oh, this thing isn't as strong as the other thing necessarily, or oh, I can't see my six-pack yet. Like, I'm focused on, am I showing up for myself today and doing the best I can today and getting that ticked off.
Amen.
That's it.
5, stick to a program. Focus on form over weight. Celebrate your small wins. Train full body function over aesthetics, and then fuel those workouts, particularly before and after. Guys, we've got you covered. Stop worrying. Thank you so much for tuning in. Any last words?
See ya.
See ya.